I'm the queen of the castle. Hi, welcome to Kick-Ass Switch, putting the K in magic. I'm Joanna DeVoe, and you are watching a video about how to be the queen or king of your castle. How to rule your own domain, your own home. I've got 3 tips for you. This is going to be a really quick video, and the first tip is set the stage and the example. These go hand in hand. So what I mean by set the stage is all the fun stuff you might think of when I think of set the stage. You know, when you set the stage when you're doing a play, which I think is where that phrase comes from. It must, right? Setting the stage. You're setting a mood. You're setting a vibe that it not only gets the audience into the mindset that you need them to be for the story to play out properly, it also sets the tone for the actors. So that is what you want to do when you're setting the stage in your home. You want to think about, what kind of vibe do I want this place to have? How do I want it to feel when other people visit my home? And most importantly, how do I want it to feel when I visit my home, when me and my family and the people and the creatures who live here, how do we need it to feel to live our best life? And then you do all the fun stuff, you know, candles, incense, textures. I happen to love like velvety textures, silky velvety things when you touch them. And but also I'm very practical. So like I had a corduroy couch made that I had for years. It was brown and it was corduroy, and I like made it look cool with pillows and stuff. But it was very, very practical. So you also want to consider that. But setting the mood with your senses, like think about your 5 like mundane senses and how you can harness them to set the stage. The other part of this is setting the example. It's leading by example. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of this are you crazy people who insist that other people take their shoes off when entering your home. I totally get why people do that, especially people that have carpet. They don't want to bring whatever yuck is on the outside and getting on the bottom of people's shoes into their home. I totally get it. But what happens is a lot of people resist that. So the first thing you want to do is lead by example. You want to kick your shoes off and put them in a designated space that looks nice right away. A lot of times people will follow your cues too. If they're new to your home and you welcome them at the door, make sure you're wearing something that you can wear in your home, like a pair of slippers or something like that. And then just kick off your shoes in the designated area and say, oh, this is where we put our shoes when we're in our home. And hopefully they follow the cue. If they don't and they try to proceed, you can explain to them why you like, oh, there's a siren. I don't care. I'm going to proceed because I don't have a lot of time today. Why you don't wear shoes in your home. Another thing that comes to mind is parents and children. How do you lead by example? How do you set the example for the kind of vibe you want to have in your home when you've got like a couple of rugrats running around screaming and fighting or just screaming while they're playing? I can tell you how you don't do it. You don't say, we do not yell in this home. That's setting a bad example. Something that works much better is to just lean in and softly say, shh, we do not yell in this home. When you whisper, you set the stage, you set the tone. People want to whisper with you. It just creates a different vibe too. If you were in here, you could feel the energy change. Maybe you could on your end too. So that's what I mean by setting the stage and the example. They kind of go hand in hand. Tip number 2, Protect your boundaries. This is something that witchy people know very well. We talk about boundaries all the time. There are many different magic spells that you can do to like protect the boundaries of your property with magic. I recommend Googling something like red dust powder, red brick dust, something like that. One of those will bring up what you're looking for. They probably both will. You can make a witch ball. Google that. I'm not going to tell you how to do these magic spells because they're very easy to find on the internet. Something that I do when we're just speaking energetically and magically, I often do this in bed when, or anytime I have like a weird worry thought, like, what if someone breaks in and kidnaps us in the night, or I just have a funky vibe from a neighbor or a stranger passing by. I always do the same thing. I get very, very still. And I'm not going to walk you through this because it takes a minute to do, but I imagine I send energy down into my heart, and then I start visualizing and imagining a bubble of white light that emerges from my heart until it finally, there's like a pop where it's like enveloping my heart. And then I start stretching the bubble, and I stretch the bubble, and I stretch the bubble. It's usually a bubble of white light because that's the cliche and it works for me. I stretch it to where I'm inside the bubble, and I stretch it out until my son and I are in the bubble, our cats, our home, and then our entire property. Sometimes I even like try to stretch the bubble all the way to Bakersfield. I live in Los Angeles and Bakersfield is very far away, but I'll like do this for my son when he's staying at his grandparents in Bakersfield. And it just, first of all, how I believe magic works is like attracts like. So it creates the sensation of peace and feeling protected, and I believe that that's magnetic and attractive. So I'm not really one for the red brick dust powder, red brick dust, and the witch balls. I think they're fun and cool magic spells. They can be very handy and powerful if you need to really, really focus on something important. And so I love to bring in the craft of magic that way, but this is typically just what I do. And then there's practical things you can do too to protect your home. And what I think of is vampires, like energetic vampires, right? In vampire lore, vampires cannot come into your home unless they are invited. It is only then that they can enter the castle. Once they're invited, they're in. So that's a great thing to think about when you are dating or when you are making a new friend. It might be better to get to know them outside your home, like to meet up for coffee or a meal or a movie or something like that. Even before you bring them into your car, like get to know the energy of that person, build up a certain level of trust before you invite them into your castle, and you can go a long way to keeping the vampires out, or just people that have some funky vibes that you don't want in your home. And you can use discernment that way, and you can be very classy and graceful about it. You can just be like, oh, I'd rather meet at this coffee shop. I've been dying to try this coffee shop. And if they're like, oh, I'll come get you, and you want to have, control over your domain, if you're not ready to get into their space, you can be like, oh, I'll just meet you there. I'm going to be in the neighborhood anyway. You don't have to be a dick. You can protect your domain and still be very graceful about it at the same time. Tip number 3 is the least sexy. That's why I saved it for last. And it is responsibility. The ability to respond. You have to be responsible for the energy of your own home on a practical level, for the upkeep of your own home, for paying your bills, for making sure the roof doesn't cave in. And for me, a huge paradigm shift happened in my life when I got hip to the kind of word magic of the ability to respond, because I always hated the word responsibility. it felt like something people said to you when they were nagging you, like, you need to be responsible. And I was like, but I need to be free. I'm an artist. I'm a creative person. The word responsibility was just repellent to me until I had that aha moment and I saw it as the ability to respond. And this is so powerful when you're thinking about being the king or queen of your own castle. And I believe that power and responsibility go hand in hand. If you want power, you have to accept that when you pick up that wand, when you pick up the wand of power, the other side of it is responsibility. And you need to have the ability to respond. This is really important when it comes to the unpredictable challenges of life. And life is full of them. That's why I always say that we are co-creating our reality instead of creating our reality, because there are bajillions of people in the world who are co-creating their realities, and that can impact you sometimes. And who knows what divine forces are at play and throwing things at you as well, or what you're attracting with your shadow. So to be a very powerful queen or king and to rule your domain from a place of sovereignty, you have to have the ability to respond in the moment to whatever comes your way. Even if it's something, this can be tricky because you don't want to drop everything you're doing because the phone rings, for example. Your voicemail can respond, and in that way, you are being responsible, right? Or if something is not an emergency or not urgent, you can respond by writing it on your to-do list and going back to what you need to do. Or you can respond by delegating that whatever it is, that fix-it project to someone else. But the point is, you acknowledge the moment, you acknowledge the need, and you respond. I believe how you do anything is how you do everything. So how you take care of your home, the personal domain of your entire life, it's that how you do that is how you do everything else in your life. So just focusing on taking care of your home can teach you so much about taking care of your body, taking care of your business, taking care of your relationship. It's all interrelated. I also want to add that if you are a woman and you really like the idea of being the queen of your own domain, and even beyond that, much further beyond that, being the queen of your own life, I have created a free 3-part video series that you can sign up down below. And then starting September 1st, those of you who want to join me, those of you who sign up, we are doing something called Queen, a 5-week audio journey to reclaim your personal sovereignty. I am super excited. I am all about it. So if you're like, what is it? What's it about? What's the vibe of that thing? Do the free video series, and that'll give you like the tone of what we're going to be doing in September. So until we meet again, I hope you enjoyed this. Much love to you. Peace.